All right, we're live.
Hey guys,
And we're both here.
hope everybody's doing good today. Doing fabulous.
We're both here at the same time, ready to go.
Like a miracle.
I know. I finally got it down without glitching it all up.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you pretty good. I think I need to turn mine up though. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Hello?
Yeah.
All right, good. So anyways, it's been a little bit since our last episode. You've taken a vacation. I did too.
I've been traveling a little bit, getting around, cross training at some undisclosed locations.
So you went to Florida. What part of Florida did you go to?
Panama City Beach.
Okay, I was curious. Is it warm enough that you were able to get into the water?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if it would be nice enough for all that.
It was 80s every day.
Really? I didn't know how warm the water would be because we went down to Sarasota back last August, and the water was like bath water, warm, really warm.
Yeah. It
Anyways.
wasn't like kids were in it a lot, but like I could go in and hang out for a minute and then get back out because it's kind of cold.
Gotcha.
But
Gotcha.
hot enough, it feels good, you know.
Are the what about down like Miami? I don't think the beaches have opened down in Miami.
I have no idea. I drove and I was not about to drive that far. Panama is like one of the closest beaches to Kentucky.
You can fly. Like you can fly on Allegiant for like $70 down to Miami right now.
That's crazy. You want to go?
Scott and I had a moment where I was drinking wine and he was driving me while I Pokemon hunt, and I had the wild idea that we were going to fly to Florida, and I almost booked it, and then I was like, the next day I woke up, I'm like, not a good idea.
By the way, when I was down there, I met up with some jiu-jitsu people for coffee or whatever, like did a little bit of networking.
Mm-hmm.
And talking to them about the group that we do and stuff, and they had the idea of us coming down there and kind of doing like a travel seminar.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's 9 hours away, so it's kind of far for us, but they were talking about doing something to get their women a little bit more excited about it.
Mm-hmm.
Because they don't train with a lot of other women.
Mm-hmm.
But they do have a solid little group. So they were wanting to see if some of us would be interested in making like a little weekend out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And doing like a seminar and maybe even a couple super fights.
Oh, nice.
So give some people some competition, like get their foot in the door, like an in-house deal. And he's like, I'll get a taco truck, we'll get food, and like it'll just be a day. And I'm like, that sounds kind of fun actually. I'll talk to Gina about it.
Does Florida still have kind of the weird amateur MMA rules where you have to fight with like shin guards and headgear? Wasn't sure if it was still the same because you know, I don't know. I never fought like that. Like most of the time when I tried to fight as an amateur, I always tried to get as close to pro rules as possible. But I'd be down for that. That'd be a lot of fun. During the
just jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. We went on a little vacation where we went camping down on my family's farm and stayed for like 2 or 3 days. It was miserable. So I have a good story to tell about this. So we went camping and it was like really cold the first night and I was miserable. I just really didn't sleep.
Is it where your mom lives?
Mm-hmm. My family owns a farm. It's like 87 acres down in Clay County. And they don't have any animals. It's a farm, but they don't really do any farming anymore on it. It's just like kind of big open spaces. and like my sister lives on that farm and my mom and dad live on that farm. And so does my step grandparents. But down there, like ticks are terrible. Like if you just walk outside, like you'll just find a tick on you, like constantly. We probably found one like once every hour, like on one of us. And so like the first night, like when I got ready to lay down, like I pulled my sock down and I had like 2 little ticks on my ankle. And like you would just find them crawling. It was just constant that there were ticks. So when we got back home, we decided that instead of taking our clothes in or any of our gear in, we didn't want to like, because they're called seed ticks. They're like, I don't know if you guys can see if you can see this. Like they're tiny, like that dot on my hand. Like they're some of them are normal size, but some of them are like really, really tiny. So we decided that we'd leave all our gear outside, and we would take turns going into my garage, and I would take like a flashlight, and like look at everybody's body, like their ass cracks and all, to see if they had like ticks. And so like my son, I found one like right here on him, and he didn't have any anywhere crazy. Natalie's granny showed up and checked her for ticks before she went home. Scott checked me, but then Scott, I was checking him, and like he had already found like 4 on him before he ever took his clothes off. Well, we go in the garage and he gets undressed, and I'm like finding ticks, like little bitty ticks everywhere.
All over him.
So I'm like, well, let me look at your butt. So like I find one like right here. And I'm like, oh my God, there's a tick like right underneath your butt cheek.
Did they come
And he's
off
like,
easily?
yeah, well, I had to take a pair of tweezers and pull them off because they were so teeny that like I couldn't just pinch it with my fingers. Yeah. And I'm like, I guess if they're getting down that close, like we should really look, you know, up in there. So he like is like this and pulling stuff forward, and he finds a tick like literally right. Oh, I found a tick like right on his fucking gooch. And so like I have to take a pair of tweezers and pull it off.
Oh my gosh.
It's like
that's the next level intimacy.
Yes. Like I've been married before, but I don't think I've ever been so like, it was like a new level of marriage like I've never experienced in my life. So, and he's funny. He don't care if I tell him, but yeah, like I straight up had to pull a tick off his gooch when we got back. That's serious. I know, it was fucking wild. Lucy here, I'll show her comment. She says, I came in at the perfect time.
I did get an idea while I was gone that I just started like picking up momentum. I kind of wanted to do this for a while because I've been to some cool gyms that I've wanted to like tell people about it in a different way. Mm-hmm. So I created an Instagram that I'm going to use to kind of document like cross training experiences. Mm-hmm. And it's actually I've got over 100 followers really quick.
Nice.
Like in one day. So it's pretty cool. Some of the stuff I'm backtracking and posting things. I'll probably post where I trained at in Japan and where I trained at in Guam because those were cool places and I want to like go outside the Southeast. So I'll probably backtrack a little bit and post things I've done previous, but I'm excited to put some places out there and then give some exposure to some gyms that are women friendly. And I'm going to try to give honest reviews, especially like the technique, whatever technique we do that day, like talk about it or whatever.
Yeah, see, I had thought a long time ago about something like that, like, because I think like kind of Mr. Jiu-Jitsu does something similar, and I had thought about something like that, but then I commend you for your bravery because I kind of chicken shitted out of it because I felt like, man, I have had some bad experiences cross training.
Yeah,
and I don't know how, like, it would be really hard to be openly honest about that.
Yeah.
And not also kind of fear repercussion. Not only like from that gym, but like from like, say, like a organization affiliation.
Yeah.
And so, if it works out for you, I hope it does. And I hope it does really well. But like, that was kind of my fear. Like, how are you feeling about that kind of thing?
About doing a negative one? I guess I would try to be as unbiased as I can because I think a lot of my really poor experiences that I've had have actually come from sometimes, I know that you can have just a terrible experience, but sometimes it comes in part from my personal expectation or my personal beliefs about something or how I do something. So I'm going to try to really take myself out of the equation completely. And see if that kind of changes things. Because there is a gym that I thought I had a bad experience at. And it's still, I wouldn't review it as a great experience at this particular gym. But I think a part of it was because I'm so used to people being a certain way that when I walked in there, it didn't feel like my normal, like it didn't feel like a place I wanted to be. The person I rolled with kind of felt like they were trying to rip my head off, that kind of deal. But I think this is going to teach me a lot of lessons too. So we'll see. At this point, I'm not scared, but I'm going to try to go into every experience kind of with a different attitude since I am going to be reviewing them. And before I've cross-trained, I haven't really thought about, well, how is this experience? How would I put this off to someone else? So now I'm going to try to go into it and just be like, I don't know anything. Nothing. I'm going to act like I have never been in other gyms and just treat it kind of, see what it is for what it is.
Yeah, because that's kind of the thing. Like, I've been, obviously the places you have a good time at, like you talk good about it publicly. So, obviously if you don't say anything, but like I have been to a gym or two before where like, it's one thing if somebody just like kind of taps you out like hard, and shows you kind of like, look what I can do. Like I kind of almost kind of understand and expect that. And of course, like, it never surprises me if at first, like, I get kind of handled by like their mat enforcer just to kind of show what they know. That never bothers me to kind of get like mangled with a smile.
Yeah.
Like that's almost kind of like I expect that, and I'm okay with that because like I wouldn't want somebody to come to my gym and like not know that like we know our shit. But I've also had the experience where like, oh, that person didn't want to just like tap me out, like they were trying to fuck me up. And
yeah, I've been in a situation where actually I got hurt.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
So
same
types of things like, and I was sure to put on one of my reviews, like a gym that I went to, actually there was no women, there was only guys. And so that doesn't bother me. I don't care about that because you can still have a nice gym and women are still welcome. So, but what I did put in the review that I appreciated is that they weren't assholes and they didn't roll like assholes, because there's a difference between like, you're obviously better than me than like just trying to kill me and make you ruin my vacation because I can't walk now,
Yeah.
I'm trying to highlight those types of things that are positive. So that way, if I do go to a gym and like those people have looked at my Instagram, they'll know kind of like, oh, she's not looking, you know what I mean? Like, this is just friendly cross-training, hopefully.
Yeah, because, like, that's a really weird experience. Like, if you've ever experienced, it's kind of like, like, I've walked into plenty of places where, like, even though they were friendly, like, they still kind of, like, whipped my ass a little bit. But, like, it was never, like, it was never, like, yeah, like, see, you can't use your leg for the next 3 weeks, right? Like, I've had that experience where I felt like that's kind of the way that they were approaching me. And I was like, holy shit. Matter of fact, I rolled with a guy who, it was with a guy and it was at this gym. And like, I asked him, like, cause I was odd out and like, I kind of kept getting put odd out. And, I was like, hey, do you mind to roll with me since, and he was just like almost kind of rolled his eyes that I asked him to roll with me. And my coach was with me. He's like, well, if you don't mind just to give her a round. And he was like, fine. And the rule was like, when at the gym we were rolling at was like, all right, the first 3 rounds, no leg locks. And I was like, okay, no leg locks. Like, I love leg locks, obviously. And we're rolling and like, he's like trying to like fuck me up. And like, he starts going for like a leg lock. And I was like, I kind of stopped and was watching him. And like, I looked at my coach and I'm like, is this really happening? And my coach is like, and so I just hit him. Because I was like, you motherfucker. Okay. I mean, he was already kind of a dick about it and like trying to hurt me. Like he would like, not just like crank stuff and like wait for me to tap, but he was like trying to hurt me. And then like when he went for a leg lock anyways, like I just popped him in the face. And I was like, they said no leg locks the first 3 rounds. And, the bell rang and like he didn't just jump up, like he jumped up and like left the building. So like that's probably one of my worst experiences that I had where I felt like somebody's trying to kind of fuck me up. But like I don't know, like how do I kind of say who that was and where that was at? Like that would be really awkward, I think. Can you hear me? I can't hear you. No. Oh shit. But anyways, until I'll let you know when I can hear you. I can't hear you still. But anyways, that's kind of the thing. If you're wanting to check out what Instagram that is, it's Sisterhood of the Traveling Belt. I think that's after is there a movie like Traveling Pants or something? I think so. Anyways, I take it that's kind of what she named it after. I've never seen that movie, so I'm not really sure. I don't watch movies hardly at all anyways. But anyways, if you guys want to check that out while we wait for Dani to come back on, it's Sisterhood of the Traveling Belt. And you guys can check that out, follow her. And if you're ever in areas where you're not sure, you can see what her opinion is of that place. You there?
Yes.
I got it. That's Sisterhood of the Traveling Belt, right?
Yes. I took it from the movie.
That's what I thought.
Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants.
Yes, I got it right. I never seen it.
I thought it was just like a fun little spin-off of that saying or whatever.
Is that what that movie's about? Like,
these girls are all friends, and they all fit into these same pair of pants, and they're like high school friends, and they all move and like they're in college and traveling, so they send these pants to each other, and like whenever they wear them, something like magical happens. But like it's basically just stories about their travels and stuff. But they all share these pants. I mean, it really doesn't correlate exactly, but I don't know.
It's all good.
I thought it was a cool name.
So, speaking of jiu-jitsu, here in Kentucky, gyms, it doesn't say martial arts specifically, but it does say gyms can open up on June 1st. I would honestly think that maybe, like, unless your martial arts facility is kind of a gym too, I don't know if you're included in that. Because, California has, I was watching Joe Rogan flip out about Tai Chi, and he was talking about, like, Tai Chi can be practiced, I guess, because it's a soft martial art, but some of the harder martial arts can't. So I guess June 1st, a lot of the combat sport gyms feel like that's the green light to open up.
I just messaged someone at Knoxville MMA because I'm going to be in Tennessee this week, going down to train at Triangle Academy for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're open. Like,
yeah.
He's running class openly. They were allowed to open, I believe last week was the first week for Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they're mostly, like, letting it be up to gym owners. They set out some guidelines for gyms, like you have to wear a mask, like blah, blah, blah. But I don't think everyone's following it. I think gym owners are kind of taking it into their own, like who's enforcing those rules, I guess is.
Well, like we have a meeting tonight, like Kentucky Combat Sport Gym Owners. Like we have a meeting tonight at 7:30 where we're going to talk about that. So like I'll have a little more to talk about, I think, in upcoming days. But from what I gather from it, most people do not feel like this is really, in Kentucky anyways, they don't really feel like the gym opening is very inclusive of combat sport. I'm not 100% sure of the restrictions that they're placing on gyms, other than like, I think you have to like clean in between every class. Nobody can share equipment. You have to stay like 6 feet apart. I don't know if they're putting a cap on how many people you can have in your class. If they are,
I know they are in Knoxville. That's the rule. She sent me a list. I'm using my phone, or I'd be able to look at what she sent me at the same time. That would have been helpful.
Mm-hmm.
But she said like 6 foot away from each other. mask on, and I think she wanted to say 12 to 15 are allowed in the facility at a time.
Okay.
So I would assume if that's the case, that they've already like written these rules for martial arts gyms there that, you know, we kind of follow suit. That's what it's been around other states. Like everybody's kind of copying each other.
Do you know if that includes the instructors, or is it like 15 people total, including instructors, or is it
I think that's what it means. She gave me the phone number. I'm going to call them because I kind of want to do an interview that maybe we could attach on to something, because I'd like to talk to the owner of the gym and just kind of do like an interview and see, because I'll be down there Wednesday. So they would have already been doing this protocol for a few days. So after they get to see what it's like for a few days, I think it would be cool to interview and see how it's going and get their opinion, because they're actually living what we're we're probably going to be facing. So
Tabitha Rainey says that some counties she's seen are doing 50% capacity, including employees, and staying 6 feet away. I'm not really sure. Like I said, I'm not really sure. We haven't been given any guidelines or directives. Like I know Scott and I kind of have our same business, but 2 different businesses. So like for my yoga, like that's not going to be a problem. Like we can stand 6 feet apart. No
you
problem.
guys already kind of do. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're thinking that we're going to have to do like you can still do Muay Thai because you have heavy bags, and like we have those water bags we can roll out into the floor. But we're not really sure about like jiu-jitsu, like how that's even gonna be possible. But you know, like I think that what we're gonna do is we're gonna open my business back up, but we might not open up his business, because like I can do like fitness classes, and you know, there's really no way that he can. I mean, how do you really do jiu-jitsu other than like movement drills, more of a fitness style class? How do you really do that? So
yeah,
I'm pretty sure, like, I'm not going to speak for Rolando, but I'm pretty sure that's kind of how he feels too, is like, how are you really going to teach jiu-jitsu like without the interaction? So we're going to meet tonight and talk about that. So we'll be able to talk about that.
Is it like a virtual meeting?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. We're not driving and meeting anybody like that.
I mean, I gotta ask, like.
No, it's because we're getting together like gym owners from all around. Like they wrote me last night and asked if me and Scott wanted to participate, and I said yes, of course. So I don't really know who's going to be there. So I assume that like it'll be some of the core people, and if I had to guess, I would say there'll probably be somebody like Phil, Ian, some people like that, because they've been very vocal about how they feel about it. Because I guess Ian was like, I'm open in June 1st no matter what. But I don't know if we're going to have to like take people's temperatures or not. I guess probably. I'm guessing we will. But I saw that they're also going to open like childcare facilities. So I don't know how that's going to work.
But that's how, see, I know this sounds like horrible, but who's enforcing any of it? Like,
the health
there's
department.
No one, I know, but like, well, are they going to be coming to your gym for all classes, or like?
If I had to guess, if I had to guess.
Like if somebody snitches on you the same way?
Well, I wasn't going to call him a snitch, but yes. If I had to guess, if somebody is concerned because they've participated in your program, that they can probably call the hotline and
snitch line.
Yeah.
Just know, if you snitch at the gym, like, we can beat your ass.
Well, hey, did you see where some of those snitch lines, like, were publishing who the actual names of the people who reported them?
That's what I'm saying. Let us find out a white belt reported us.
Linda will be reporting everybody because she'll be like, I went to open bat and they tapped me out 5 million times. I'm calling the switch line.
I'm calling the snitch line.
If I don't get to tap nobody out, you motherfuckers don't either. I'm kidding. Linda would never do that. I just use her as an example because she knows. She knows I know. I mean, but seriously, can't you? I would imagine that somebody could be that way. They could be like, you know, salty about something. And I think that was kind of what in one of Rolando's videos he kind of said was, you know, you want to mess with your competitor or a competitor that you know, maybe has beat you 3 or 4 times. You just call the line and say, hey, they're training.
Yeah, right.
So Linda says for sure.
Up, is Lucy still on? Can we get her to join in?
Lucy, click on the link that I posted in the group and come talk to us if she's still in here.
Lucy is like very much so. She has a different opinion now than me. So Lucy would be good conversation because Lucy is like very anti. She wants to distance.
It's not that I don't want to distance.
You're somewhere in the middle. I don't give a fuck anymore. And Lucy is very high end. Like, we should all stay away.
Yeah, I would love to talk to her about that, just to kind of get her opinion, because like I would like to hear what she has to say about everything. So Lucy,
I'm getting more on the terms of Linda now. But I feel like you've always coasted in the middle.
I'm a very like ride the line. I don't know. Well, you know, and the thing is like I actually kind of was on a forum talking to Ian Lawler about this. I mean, he's like, what are you afraid of? You know, when it came to opening, this is before we had a deadline for opening. Like, I mean, I'm afraid of a lot of things. Like, I am afraid of making people sick. Like, I don't want that personal responsibility of like thinking that somebody who is immunocompromised like gets sick because of a choice I made. Like that would be devastating to me. And that's kind of like, I mean, that goes back to the whole reason that I canceled that Bluegrass Women's Jiu-Jitsu Club meeting when this first started. Like I said, you know, Natalie's granny has, you know, COPD. And if, you know, she lets Natalie participate with me, but like if I get together with a bunch of people and Natalie carries it home to her granny and she were to pass away, like I would just be so devastated by that. So like, I know there's this thing of like everybody, like on the one hand, I do think that people need to be free to make their own decisions. Like how old are you? 26?
Mm-hmm.
Like if you want to travel to Florida and train and like do whatever the fuck you want to do, like I don't have a problem with that. And I don't have any strong feelings about, you know, how responsible or irresponsible that is. If you're letting people know that that's what you're doing, like you're being pretty responsible with that. Like, this is what I'm doing. And if that makes you nervous, you shouldn't come around me. Right. Like, that's reasonable to me. Because like, I do have people that I'm like, I don't know, like, I don't know if I should, you know, be around somebody who's done a lot of traveling, because what if they do carry it back and I give it to like my in-laws next door? Mm-hmm. So like, that's kind of
and everything's so close here. I mean, when I'm here, I'd come back and I don't have contact with anyone else. Like, so.
Well, whether you do or not is neither here nor there to me. Like, I think where it boils down to is like, if I say, well, you've had a lot of contact with people, thank you for letting me know. That was all I needed you to do, is be honest with me. Like, if you're honest with me and you're telling me, no, I'm going around and like traveling to different places, and I say, well, okay, that's no problem. I'm going to choose not to work with you because that makes me a little nervous. Then, and as long as as long as you respect that decision and you're not like, you know, like kind of telling me off about it, like, I don't think that there's a problem with that, because I have to make my own choice on whether or not I want to do that. What I don't like is when people are keeping secrets about, you know, who they're training with, and they're not being honest about it. And then you're kind of like, oh, maybe I'll train with them, but they're not giving you all the information. And I don't think that's fair.
I agree.
So, you know, like, it's kind of that thing of like, you know, I don't know. I don't necessarily agree with like locking everybody down, because people should be able to like kind of make those choices, and there's a repercussion for your actions. If I'm getting together with people anyways, and whether or not they're being honest with me or not, it's still my responsibility. It's like going out and raw dogging some chick, and then you're like, oh shit, I caught the clap. Like,
Yeah.
like, if you shouldn't have been out there kind of doing that. Like the responsibility was on you.
It's still on you.
Yeah. So I don't know.
I agree.
I'm pretty boring when it comes to strong opinions on that stuff. But anyways, my point being is like with Ian, like I'm afraid, like I don't live in New York, but at the same time, like they're so stacked on top of each other. It's no wonder they get so sick. But we're also finding out in New York, like Tom DeBlass saying that he's already had it and wasn't even that sick. Like people have basically, they already have the antibodies.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, I don't know.
Yeah, you can get tested for the antibodies now, and they'll tell you if you've had it or not.
Yeah. Like, I don't know. I don't know who's had it here. I don't know who's not had it here. Like, we don't live in a super heavy zone like that. So, like, at the end of the day, like, I don't know. I mean, Scott and I are really healthy, but we are 40 and 50 years old. Like, we're not 25. So,
yeah.
I don't know. And so there's that thing of like, what if I am wrong? Like, what if I'm wrong?
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's heavy. Is anyone else going to join us today?
I don't think so. I don't think Lucy wants to talk to us.
Well, damn.
I know. Come on, Tabitha. Go click on the link. Come talk to us.
I feel like Tabitha's always watching, but she never wants to.
She's a voyeur. I know you voyeurs are out there. Come talk to us. Like, what's the worst that can happen? We disagree a little bit, like all adults can. I guess until then, we'll talk a little bit about like the UFC was this weekend down in Florida.
Yeah. That card was pretty good, actually.
I didn't watch it. It was past my bedtime.
I watched it, but I struggled to stay awake for the last two fights. And they were the ones I wanted to see the most, but I was struggling to stay awake. But I bought it. I watched it. It was good, but I don't know. I don't really like Henry Cejudo.
Why not?
And I think he's annoying. Like, he's so annoying. Like, he reminds me of Ben Askren. Like, their attitudes are like so similar.
Well, I mean, they were both really high-level wrestlers.
Yeah, I know. And I can't stand either of them.
Maybe it's something that's in the culture.
Yeah. Douchebag. I don't know.
That's funny. Well, they had Jacare Souza that tested positive for COVID when he got there, so that fight was off.
That's wild.
I know. Like,
and he said he was no symptoms either. Like, that's super shocking. But I'm not saying they should let him fight, but like, how can anyone else fight?
Well, I mean, they could have, I guess, had alternates for when shit went bad if they wanted to. Lorianne Ramos says his fighter personality is definitely fake. I think she's talking about Cejudo.
Henry Cejudo. I don't give a fuck if it's fake. If that's not your personality, then don't be a dick. Like, that's my take on it. Like, why would you want to be an asshole like that? Like, I guess like playing the bad guy, but I'd rather have an actual bad guy than a fake bad guy.
I think Ms. Ramos has an interesting story. She talks about meeting him.
Yeah, I think I've heard it before.
Well, it's like Gordon Ryan. Like, Gordon Ryan seems like, if you read some of his posts, he seems like such a dick. Like, the way that he talks, types. I mean, he just seems real, like, kind of, I don't give a fuck, like, this is how I feel. But then people who know him and have met him talk about how he's like one of the nicest people that you'll ever meet. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think the internet's good for that.
Like Scott used to get on to me because like I would type a message and like I would use no punctuation, and he'd be like, "Are you mad?" I'm like, "No." He's like, "There's no punctuation, so I can't tell if like you're happy or sad." And like we used to get into fights because I'd be like, "I said okay," and he's like, "I know," and I don't know if that's okay or okay because context matters.
Good thing we have emojis now, so you can just put in a face.
Because context matters, I guess. But I mean,
yeah, I feel like that's the situation with a lot of people, but I'm not keen to that. I feel like if you're just gonna be an asshole, be a real asshole. Lori, the back Arizona is to make up for the height.
Could be Miss Lorian Cejudo defending that height. But Tabitha, I think, is going to come on with us, so we'll give her a minute to come on. Something else I've been paying attention to up in Michigan, James Gray of the SSF Academy. He has fighters like that were in the UFC, like what is her name? Amanda Bobby Cooper. He has what is that little girl's name that she's not little girl, she's like a 105er that fought on that Invicta card Linda was on. She got like a USA Wrestling tattoo on her neck. I can't remember her name.
On her neck.
Ashley Zeppolito or something like that. He's got quite a few female fighters that have been like either in the UFC or on Invicta. I think that he's had some different fighters in some bigger promotions. But anyways, like he's opening up this week in Michigan, and it's in that same town area where that barber is considering like they're guarding his barbershop with like armed guards. Hi, Tabitha, how you doing?
I'm good.
Dani, can you hear her?
Yeah.
Tabitha, I like your hair.
It's a wig.
I like it nonetheless.
Okay, Tabitha, I was loving the updates on your hair where you were like, today I look like you were giving really good comparisons in hair growth.
It's like to my cheek, like to my chin now. It's pretty long.
That's fast.
Yeah. Vitamins.
Really fast.
So Tabitha, like we told you to kind of come on. I think that you like we have basically kind of all three differences of opinions here. Like Dani's kind of like I'm kind of doing what I want to do. I'm very like I don't know, and you know, just kind of if you want to kind of explain your standpoint on what we've been talking about.
I think it's very hard, and for someone who's not been in mine and my husband's shoes and my family's shoes, I think if you don't live what we lived through, I think it's a little harder to see our point. Mm-hmm. So for us, you guys know, I have 3 kids. My youngest is 7, and he has a critical congenital heart defect that he was born with, hence congenital. So he lives with half of a heart. He's had to have 3 open heart surgeries, the first one being at 7 days old. He almost didn't make it after that surgery. Mm-hmm. Because of the heart surgeries, he has a compromised immune system. Mm-hmm. Just having the half of a heart puts a lot of strain on his body anyways. Mm-hmm. And so it makes it very hard for him to fight off viruses. Mm-hmm. And then during the open heart surgery, they removed the thymus gland. Mm-hmm. It's around the heart so that they can get to it, which also aids in your immune system response. Mm-hmm. So he's just fucked, you know. So he's landed in the hospital before just for rhinovirus, just a common cold, mm-hmm. or adenovirus, you know, just stomach virus and common cold and stuff, and needed lung support for that. So he also has reactive airway disease, so his lungs are very damaged from his heart defect, from damage that happened from a massive blood transfusion from his first surgery and being mm-hmm. on life support. Mm-hmm. And then he's had RSV in the past, which really scars your lungs up. So mm-hmm. if he was to catch this virus, I know they're saying that kids are doing fine, but really it is so new that it's hard to really have the numbers for what it's going to look like if he or his friends like him were to catch it and how they would respond. We have seen some kids with heart defects coming through and getting it and doing okay, just needing that extra lung support. But for them, it's very scary because any little thing can attack their heart, just a common cold can, and can send them into heart failure. After his third heart surgery, he had a ton of, like, his heart was failing, and we were possibly looking at heart transplant. We know with the type of defect that he has, he will have to have a transplant in the future. Because of this, we have to be safe with him because we know that anything, so we're not just scared of this virus, we're scared of any viruses, any colds, the flu, any of those, because we know that it could take him down. We could lose him because of it. And I think we have a different perspective just because we've almost lost our child multiple times, and we've seen him in some of those scary pictures you see online. So for other people that don't live that, I think it's easier for them to be like, oh shit, that's scary, you know, that must be rough, but I don't live that, you know. So that's not a part of my life. For us, we've seen it multiple times, and we know the reality for him. On the other hand, my husband and I both agree and believe that there are many businesses we feel like could be open. The way that Lowe's and Walmart and stuff, we understand that those were essential places to get food and what you need, but people started using it as their vacation hobby spot, you know, so it kind of defeats the purpose. Which really sucks because the more people loading in there, the more risk that those of us who are having to hunker down because of people like my son, the more it becomes scary for them. So my husband is still working.
I was going to ask that, but
yes, and that's scary because he's going to work every day. You know, we're not completely safe because just because I'm home and the kids are home, my husband is still working.
Is he having to take any precautions? Like, go ahead, Dani.
Sorry, I was going to ask, like, since he's so immune compromised, anyways, is what you're doing now different than how you guys would live before because of the other viruses that are out there? You know, for as much, like, what's the difference between now and normal? Does that make sense? Is my question making sense?
So we've been a little bit more extreme. We go through phases. When it's summertime and there's not as much risk of colds or flus or anything like that, we are able to lessen things. So we're able to go out in crowds and able to be around people and stuff. And he's able to go and do that. I mean, he's been in public school now for a few years, which is still scary, but, you know, they take great precautions for him. And he's not able to build his immune system like other people. So that he relies on that herd immunity of other people able to get it and live through it and do fine and stuff. But for us, when we hit that cold and flu season, we stop going out so much. So in the wintertime and stuff, we'll still hit the gym up, but we're very cautious. Like, he sits out, if you've ever been there when we're there during cold and flu season, like, he's out away from everyone. He's in his own little corner, and those that do go around him know at my previous gym, I'm not there anymore. They knew not to, like, get in his face and be around. Like, if the flu is going around really bad at the gym, I might take a week or two off just to, like, not have him in that area. When he's going in for a procedure of any kind, even like if he has to have dental cleanings, he has to go to the operating room and be put to sleep just for a dental cleaning. So when he's going in for any kind of preparation for that, like, we take 2 weeks that we really kind of hunker down, kind of like we are now, to minimize that risk for him. So for us, it's not much of a big difference. My husband goes to work. He comes home, immediately goes and showers, and his clothes go into the washer. We do not wear shoes in the home because you scatter all the germs through there. And he showers and cleans beforehand. He's wearing a mask at work and stuff, and out in public when he needs to, which is very much like, he usually wouldn't wear a mask. But right now he is, just because what's being out there. But washing hands, washing surfaces, we still do that all the time anyways. We've just increased it more right now because of the heaviness of all of this?
It reminds me, like, talking about Walmart and places like that. Like, my husband goes to Walmart for us. Like, we don't all go at the same time or anything. But like, it was like 2 days ago. This is kind of wild. I decided I was going to do the grocery run for a change, and I don't know what the fuck was happening, but it was it was the most wild experience like I've ever had. Like being out in public, like, you know, I've been walking through like downtown LA and places like that. So I don't know what it is about what's going on that's like drawing crazy people out. But I kid you not, this was like 2 days ago. There were like 2 different families with like 3 children with them. Like one of the families was out at the like home and garden center, and like these kids weren't just like being kids, like they were going nuts. And then like there were these, like it was wild. There were these other 3 kids that were like running through the aisles, like snickering and jumping out at people. And I'm like, I was straight drop kick a motherfucking kid today. Like, and then like, it was just wild. Like I've never seen anything like this in a store before. So like I'm walking, like I had to go to like the, because almost all Walmarts are like basically the same. I had to go down to like the home and garden center because I was trying to buy a tomato plant and then go buy my other foods. So like I was down at the home and garden center. That's where I saw everybody kind of like being nuts. And like these kids were like down around the shampoos, like trying to jump out at people. And I'm like, not today, Satan. So then like I start hearing this like, ah! And like I looked over and like, you know how you're walking past the clothing and then there's like another aisle like on the other side of the clothing? Like there's this little girl that's like probably 8, and like she just starts like getting like demon possessed at her parents, who are both in the store pushing different buggies with a baby with them, and she takes off like trying to fight them. And I was like, what the fuck is happening? And so like we were like walking down the aisles, because they have people who can like go down different, like you can only go down one aisle and come up another, which, you know, I understand it. But like people are going the wrong way and they're like, I don't give a fuck. I got to just go get this and I'm going to go the way I want to. And like Walmart employees are like yelling at people. And then like in the next aisle over, I see a little girl go down the wrong way with her parents. Like they went, and like she's over in that aisle, like screaming. And I mean, I kid you not, like it felt unsafe, because it seems like this would, like I said, I don't want to say extreme. Like, I don't know. That's kind of been my stance. Like, I don't really know. I don't know. But it does seem like it would be the most reasonable time to just, like, play it cool. But it seems like people are kind of doing the opposite of that. And I think that's what makes it so bad. Like, I've never felt more like I needed, like, a weapon or be prepared to, like, defend myself, like, in a fucking Walmart. And I don't understand that. You know, like, I don't understand not only kind of like the fuck it mentality, but like I'm going to go absolutely ape shit mentality. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think my husband and I have talked about this a lot. Like for us, we've had people that have been in our lives now, especially at our gym, like for years now. You guys know we've been training at Four Seasons for years. And these are people that we call brothers and stuff. And it's like the change that we've seen in them is, it almost feels like a slap in the face, because you see my child, you've seen his struggle. Like you guys have been here through his surgeries, some of his surgeries and stuff, and you hug on him, you come up to his face all the time, and oh, you're so strong, buddy. I love you so much. You're so brave. But then when he really needs them, they're like, fuck this. I'm not doing that. I'm not wearing a mask. I'm not going to worry about, fuck them. I'm worried about me, my liberties and this and that. And I'm like, dude, like, you say how you love him and you would protect him with everything, but when he really needs you, you don't give a shit. So it's like, so we've learned people to distance ourselves from, even people that we've called family. And so we're having a hard enough time being here and worrying about things and stuff, but it's also very hard in seeing people that we thought that really cared about us and really cared about our son just totally not even give a crap. And I used to call it ignorance, but I don't even call it that anymore, because there's so much information for people to go and read and research and try to dig through. Now it's just entitlement. It's just selfishness and entitlement. People just don't care. And I don't care if you go run and do this and you go to, that's cool, whatever. But be safe when you're going back out into the public around other people, because my husband still has to go out and shop for us. And so that's my whole thing, is like, well, we want to be able to do what we want to do. I want you to be able to do what you want to do. I wanted to be able to do what I wanted to when my kids sat for 5 months in the hospital dying. But I couldn't do that. And you have to make changes for survival a lot of times. It sucks. And I don't think anybody really likes change, but in the aftermath of it, I mean, are we really helping our fellow folk, or are we just worrying about ourselves at times? And so I worry about the people that say, like, I do want the gyms open, but I do know that a lot of these places are still wanting the 6 feet distance. They're still wanting this and that. So for jiu-jitsu at itself, you can't 6 feet distance unless you're just doing drilling and stuff. You can't do that in MMA training and stuff, even with pads. Like, it's not going to happen. I hate that. Like, jiu-jitsu saved my husband's life. After everything we've been through.
Especially with droplet exposure.
I guess what I would ask is, well, how do you feel about when people say, well, you know, like, I understand that. I understand what you're going through. But, like, for somebody who doesn't have any risks, they should be able to go to the gym and maybe, you know, you guys should distance yourself. Do you feel like that's reasonable?
I understand it because we live it all the time. But I also understand that you go train with all these people, and then you go to the local Walmart and you touch all this stuff, and you could have it. You could be asymptomatic, and still, you could just be a carrier and never have showed any signs of it, and still leave that behind. And then my husband goes and picks it up and brings it home, whether my son went out or not, and he still ends up catching it. So we're still taking the precautions we need. What is it?
Do you think with the amount of people that they're allowing into Walmart, Home Depot, Lowe's, and all that stuff, does it change the amount of risk depending on what the person's doing if there's that many people in the store anyways?
I don't think that. I think it's hard to limit the amount.
Like, for the amount, if people I'm training with are all going to Walmart anyways, and we're all spreading what we have, is there a difference? Do you see what I mean?
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
And I understand, like, the precautions they're trying to make happen, so that we can open things safely. And the people that are reacting against it just to be whatever, just to react against it, it makes it harder to be able to open those things safely, because it doesn't matter if you have that many people in there. Yes, it's hard to distance when you have that many people running around in there, but the limiting of one person per family going down this way of the aisle, they're doing that so that we can split this up to be able to open things up more, so we can get back to a normalized life. It's not going to be exactly what it was before. It's just not. It's not going to be that way for a while, and it fucking sucks, you know.
Well,
but
yeah, I know that the practice that what I do for a living is definitely. I just got an email actually. We had a Zoom meeting or whatever, and it's changed the entire way. I think I said it before, but they made a comparison to, like, back when the AIDS thing happened, and, like, that was first introduced to society. Well, before then, dentistry was actually done with no gloves. So a dentist actually spread HIV to literally, like, 8 people. And it was just from blood contacts, like, because we knew no better. We weren't using gloves because nobody really understood the bloodborne pathogens and how we were giving and transmitting things. And actually, believe it or not, the mask that we wear, I wear a mask every day in my job, regardless of COVID or not. I mean, I'm this far from someone's face. The masks that we wear after this COVID stuff's happened, and the CDC has actually been paying attention and testing them, the masks that I've been wearing in the 6 years I've been working in dentistry, they actually don't even prevent everything from going through the mask. So we've actually been wearing the wrong kind of mask this whole time anyways. So before we can if everybody's saying, like, aren't you back to work? I'm not back to work because we don't have proper PPE. The actual standard of care now is changing for dentistry as for sure as it is a lot of things. Some dentists have gone back to practicing just because they want money and, like, that's what they need to do. But luckily, I work for a corporation, and they're trying to follow all the rules to a T and protect us and protect our patients like we should probably. But now they're saying, like, an N95 and stuff is what we should have been using all along because of everything we could be exposed to via droplet or whatever, because so much stuff flies out in the air during even just the cleaning. So my whole job like is changing so much, because usually I can see more than one patient. I can see 2 patients like at a time, because I'll take off my mask and gloves and go to the next room. Now you can't cross-contaminate like at all, and it's going to be completely different. So like my life is for sure going to be forever different as far as how many patients we can even see in an office during the day, or like whatever. Like I can't imagine what the rest of the world's going to be going through. Like, this is just my job personally that's going to change.
Yeah, I've seen that too, like what you're saying with the masks and stuff. And I knew
we've been wearing the wrong ones the whole time.
Yeah. I think though there will be a lot of good come out, because we've seen a lot of flaws, not just in the medical system, but just within America, of the way that we look at things, like time off. How much time is given off to some of these jobs? How much were we paying retail workers and stuff like that, like minimum wage and stuff? Like, these are people that are still going, and they're being put at risk right now while people are, shopping at Walmart and walking around with their entire family. And again, back to that, like, we believe there are many, many businesses that should be able to open right now, because if they're able to do these same precautions of less customers in at one time, and of course it's gonna take a cut on some of their businesses, but it's gonna make a safety plan right now, and they're gonna be able to open to have any kind of business at all. So
and a lot of the mom and pop shops don't fit a lot of people anyways.
Well, no. I think that some of this too, like, you have people who, it's like, it's not necessarily about like the mask or opening or closing. Like, there are some people, and I'm kind of on that line of whether I'm not sure or not, who feel like some of this is a little bit like, there are things that we know, but then there are also things that do seem very politically motivated. Like, there just are. Because I was listening to like Elon Musk, and he's talking about how he has 7,000 people in China, and they had this thing contained, and it's not the problem that it was. And so like, this is going on longer here than it was there. I mean, it does feel like there are politicians who are turning this into a political thing, and that's where there's this thing of like, is somebody being an asshole, or are they kind of like feeling like some of this stuff is being politically used to advantage? And what my example of that would be is like, how is it that corporations are able to be open? Like, we're talking like, even yourself said, like, small businesses could be open. And I think that tends to be more of the problem of people who have the gripe, who aren't just like, it's all about me. But like, there are people out there who like, I am concerned about other people, but some of this stuff just seems so politicized that like, how is it that corporations and big boxes and like these kind of people are able to be open when, but then the smaller businesses that are more mom and pops like can't be? Like, I think that would be the problem for somebody who isn't like, they're not disconcerted about like what your family's going through, but they also feel like there's some real unfairness out here, and it's not just unfair to me. It's unfair. Like, it's unfair to all of us.
Right.
And I think people feel like they're, sorry.
Well, I mean, there are definitely people out there who are like, fuck you, I should be able to do what I want.
Yeah, I've seen it.
And you know what? You and your family stay home. Like, I should be able to get to do what I want. And I understand how that is offensive and why that's not right. I do think that there are people out there who say that, but they don't necessarily mean it that way. I think what they mean is that they're a little fed up with how politicians are using this, it seems, or as it would have seemed that they're using it to, like, it's a similar thing of like, I saw one and I started to share it and then I deleted it because like, I don't want to offend people, but at the same time, like, it doesn't make sense that, fast food is so unhealthy for you is not allowed, but we couldn't find a better way to like allow people to like exercise and be healthy. Like, those kinds of things don't make sense. And it's not about like, forget the people who, are immunocompromised. It's more about like, some of this stuff that we're doing doesn't make sense. It's not really taking into consideration our health. It's not really taking into consideration like the well-being of everyone around us. And that there's people out there who are not concerned at all. Like I said, I went into Walmart and they were acting like fucking nuts. And that just doesn't seem reasonable to me, that if you are concerned that like, like, okay, I don't know, but I don't want to have a negative impact on people that it could affect. So like one of us will go to the store. But like I said, these people are like going in with their whole families, mom, kid, baby in a shit, I haven't had one in so long. What are those things called?
Car seat carrier.
Carrier, yeah.
Yeah.
and their kid who's acting like a brat. You mean to tell me that you didn't know your kid acted like a hellion in the first place, and like y'all couldn't have stayed home while one of you guys went to the store?
Right.
Like, not only should you not be out in public right now, like you should never take those motherfuckers out in public if that's how they act. I'm just saying, like,
no, I totally agree. Like, I do agree. Like, I'm sure to some it just seems like we're just hunkering and, oh my gosh, the fear. And we take a ton of precautions, and we've known how to for years now because of our son Waylon. But we also do agree very much of what you say, Gina, in the same sense, in the exact same. Like, there are a lot of businesses that should be able to be open, and it's taking a toll on their families. And I don't want to sound insensitive in saying like just stay home. Like, I don't believe that. I do believe that there are businesses that should be able to be open, and they can have those places open and still be safe and still be able to create revenue and stuff, and life still continue going on in those places and amongst our community. And the same with gyms. Like
that would be what I would think that some people would have a misconception about you, Tabitha, because like I wasn't sure. Like I would probably assume that you think that like everything's
shut down
because like I have this situation, and
I think you're usually.
It's good to hear. I think it's good for people to hear that perspective. That I don't feel like that. Go ahead, Dani.
I was just gonna say, I think where people start getting these really ugly sides of themselves that start showing. I've deleted a few people because even though I know I'm out here like doing things that are, I went to the beach, whatever. I wouldn't consider myself an insensitive person. I actually haven't seen my mom in like a long time because I'm trying to stay away. I have groceries in my house. I haven't been to Walmart or the grocery store since I've been back to Cincinnati. I don't need anything. But my thing is, I agree with you that people are being like super psycho and like they just want to go and they're just doing shit just to do it at this point. But
yeah.
Anytime that people feel like their money or like their civil liberty is being threatened, it's like nothing else matters. Like they're like, it's not really, we're not to the kill or be killed point, I don't think. But anytime you mess with like somebody's business being open or whatever, or like their money or ability to take care of their family, that's when you're going to see like the real side of anyone. And either people are going to be like Gina, where they're like, okay, let's think rationally about how we could go this, or they're going to be like, let's get our guns and like, you know what I mean? Like it's horrible to see, it really is. But
like the thing with the civil liberties, that's probably where I would disagree a little bit. Like there are certain things that are very important to us and our basic needs, and that's just all people. And when people do start to feel threatened with their civil liberties, they start to protest. And I think that's absolutely necessary because, if you are much of a patriot on that aspect, like it becomes very easy for when a government starts to take away something, okay, like say they take away 5 things. And then you start to negotiate or demand your 5 liberties back. And they say, it's that thing of like asking for something that is unreasonable so that then you can settle for something more reasonable. Like if you take 5 things away and then I say, I demand all of them back. And they say, we'll give you 3. And then you take those 3, you still lost 2. So,
yeah.
I
agree. I'm somewhere in the middle when it comes to it, but I'm just saying that this is when you see the ugliest. This is when you start seeing like true sides of people or like opinions that you never knew anybody had. So
yeah, it's just that I agree with
where people stand.
I think that some people, when they say it pretty nastily, and it's that thing of like think before you speak. Yes, your civil liberties are important. Yes, like your freedoms are very important. But also, yes, there are people out here who have issues like they're very important too. And if you paint it in a way, like it's like when you say something kind of crazy, like if what you say sounds crazy, then automatically I dismiss everything else that you have to say, because I do that with like YouTube videos. When somebody comes on and they say something that's like, well, we know for a fact that that's like way out there, then I automatically just want to turn it off. And I don't want to listen to anything else they have to say, because now they've diminished all their credibility. And that's the problem. Like, some of these people might have had something good to say, but they allowed their emotions to get out of control. And they said something like that was very self-centered, self-absorbed. And while they might have had a good point, if they could have got around to it, now I've dismissed everything that they have to say because they just sounded like a self-absorbed dick. And that's
exactly where I'm at.
If those things are important to you, you really got to think about what it is you're saying. You know, like, I think Tabitha and I have a little bit of like, we're more closely centered, and you too, Dani. Like, you know, we're all three a little more closely centered to our what we believe than what we think we are. Like, we're on opposite ends of the spectrums in some aspects, but like being thoughtful about how you say it is really important. Like, there are certain things that are important to me, and with the way my family dynamic is, there are certain things that are important to Tabitha, and like, I respect that. And there are certain things that are important to you, but like, just going off and being like, I don't give a fuck, y'all need to take care of yourself and I'm going to take care of me. Yeah. Like, you sound ignorant, and now I can't have any kind of conversation with you because you're a dick. Like,
right. You're just a fucking dick. I don't want to hear you anymore. Yeah.
and that's exactly it.
Yeah, and from there on out, that's how I look at everything they have to say.
Yeah,
because there are,
and that's the thing too, is people are forgetting. Yes, there's going to be a huge change. There's a huge change right now, and things are going to be very different after this. But there's going to be an after this. Mm-hmm. There's going to be an after part, and the way you're speaking,
and we're not going to forget you. Like, we're not going to forget how you acted.
Yeah, the way you're speaking right now, you still have to remember, like, there's going to be an after part. And you say something like that damaging, those people, you're not going to have those people after this. You may lose a whole lot of other people. Like, I've seen some pretty nasty stuff on some of these groups. Like, I don't give a fuck if my neighbor dies. I don't give a fuck if the old lady next door dies. Like, do you think the people that pay to come watch you are going to want to pay to come watch you anymore? I don't know.
You know, I agree. Like, when you say certain things like that, you might not even really mean it, and it can carry like a heavier implication than what you think it does. Like, sometimes you see, like, my son's granny. Like, some people know it, some people don't. That, like, he has a different dad than Scott, but like, with that, he has a different grandmother. And like, her and I are on Facebook, and like, we have extremely opposing views on some of this stuff. And like, she gets pretty extreme with it. Like, she's like, oh, you know, you want the economy to open up. Well, you need to name the 2 people that you don't care to lose in your life. And I'm like, well, that I don't think that's exactly what some people are saying. You know,
yeah, like, I wish it worked that way. I'll take out 2 today.
Like, I'm just done. I'm sure, like, some of us can sit and think, like, yeah, there's 2 people that I know out of 100 that I don't
really like, care much for. Yeah.
If they went, like, I don't give a fuck. Like, I keep on, but you know. Like, why would you say it? So,
yeah.
I think that's the thing too, is people are so used to not having any filter, and the whole thing of being, you know, in today's time is being savage. You want to be savage about it. But at what cost? You know, like.
Well, it's no different to me than like when I have a fight with somebody and I get together with Linda and I'm like, fuck that bitch, I'm gonna fuck her up. But on social media, I'm like, I'm very honored to have a very respectful match. Like, just can't y'all control yourself a little bit? I think
I think that's the biggest thing too, is like, you and I are probably very much in the same, just because you help run a business. Yeah. And you run Bluegrass Women's Jiu-Jitsu and stuff, and I don't make money from what I do, but I do help run an organization, and I have to be very careful in the way that I carry myself and the things that I say, no matter how politically charged I think something is or what I politically think about it. I have to be careful as to what I say, because I help hundreds of families a year, and I would never want any of those families that come to me to feel like well, she believes this, so she's not gonna listen to me, or she's not gonna really care about my family because she believes this.
Yeah.
So
it's rough.
I think we understand that watching what we say and knowing how to present it.
I'm going to say something political, but you guys do not have to respond. I will say that this whole pandemic thing has kind of showed us what we can really afford in America. And I think universal health care doesn't sound so bad now. Like, everybody getting health care, because I shit you not, I did not apply for Medicaid. I did not do any of that. I applied for unemployment. And as soon as I did that, I got a passport card. I got Kentucky Medicaid. Everybody who did got it. So if we can afford to do that right now, everyone should have health care. That's my 2 cents on it.
The thing is
maybe that's just mine because I owe freaking the hospital like $23,000 or some shit. But I think we deserve it. Like, and if we can afford it right now, we can, like.
Well, I think the thing is we can't afford it. Like, the state is about to go bankrupt. And if you look at places like Canada where healthcare is universal, like, their healthcare system is not great. It takes you months and months and months to get in anywhere. And the quality of care that you get is sometimes low. And even, I mean, Canadians have universal healthcare and they don't like it that much.
I think learning from their mistakes, I think it can be a lot more beneficial. Because there is a way to do the system correctly. I've seen, sorry, I just got a message from a girl. All right, I've seen it work a little bit better in some of the European countries too, not just Canada. They're not the only ones with universal health care. But I think it can work correctly, and especially when people get these life-threatening illnesses like that come out of nowhere, like what I had, and weird shit. I've been a healthy person forever. So normally, not going to say I was never concerned with it, but universal health care wasn't at the top of my list of things to debate with people about. But then something crazy happened to me, like it can to anybody, and nobody should be faced with that type of medical debt. Like,
well,
that's
I agree with
outrageous.
I agree with that, which is kind of my gripe about some of this stuff too, is like what we value over our health is kind of wild to me. Like, we value.
That's what I'm saying. Like, this showed us that.
We value fast food and like certain things way over our health. And so much so that like our healthcare isn't really healthcare. Like, if your knee hurts and you go to the doctor isn't going to like do anything to help you get better. They're just going to tell you, well, don't use it for like 8 weeks. Like, our healthcare is not very good at being preventative. It's more about like, here's a pill, take it, and, you know, like, feel better. We don't have a lot of value, and we don't do a lot of things in the way of preventative medicine. We don't do a lot of things in the way of like proper healthcare. And like, it does tend to be more about money. Why is it that you have these cancer centers like of America that, you know, have such a high rate of survival and cure, but then like your typical person gets sick and they just kind of plug along and barely make it? So it seems to be that our healthcare system is more about like, let's keep them well enough to get by.
You know why? Because capitalism. This is why universal health care can be better, is because everyone does get this. Everyone gets care. Here, if you have more money, you get better care. That's not how it should work.
But that's how it is in Canada now too. They have universal health care,
I mean,
but everybody gets like this low standard of care. But then you have like these doctors who are like, fuck that. Like, I want to make money. So they open up these private practices where rich people can afford it. So like, they're kind of almost in the same boat. Like, I don't know what the answer is.
To be the same, but there has to be some type of way for people to have access to a doctor if they need one, and not to be living their whole life paying for something that happened to them.
I don't know. Like, why do cancer patients pay like thousands of dollars for a bag of like chemo when pets like get the same medicine for like doggy chemo for $100? Like, there's a lot of problems. I don't know.
Bag of saline is like $1,200.
Yeah, that's
it's just
insane.
salt water.
There's no cap. They have no.
That's the huge part. It is flawed. Our medical
government.
Yeah, our medical system is hugely flawed. Yeah.
The pharmaceutical companies should not be in ties with lobbyists and people in the government that regulate that kind of thing. I think that makes it completely unfair.
It's just unfair because it doesn't matter if you have like universal health care or not. Like universal health care just seems to be like your basic standard of like we can like keep you comfortable enough to say that you're kind of normal. Like if that's universal health care, like that doesn't make any sense to me
But it does make sense to the average person who, even though it's not like the best of the best, it gives you a way to be able to take care of yourself. And I would rather have a basic line of help in a situation like I was in where I'm in the ER and I need something stat and have it be paid for than not have anything at all.
I mean, they basically like, let's see if we can make you not die. That's how they treat everybody. Like even the emergency room can't turn you away, and all they can do is like, oh, let's see if we can get you not to die, and then boom, you're out. So I don't know. It's
a hard thing. Like my son's
This
first
just took
surgery.
such a turn.
His first month at UK hospital was 1.5 million. So we would have never been able to pay. That's just his first surgery in his first month, you know. And then he still spent 2 more months at UK and then 2 months in Michigan where we life flighted, which is like a ton of money just to fly that way anyways. So, and that surgery in 2 months there was 500,000 plus. And then him with all of his day-to-day medications, his braces he needs for his legs because of his cerebral palsy, wheelchair, walker, all of that, like all those things have to be upgraded pretty much every 6 months or so. And then he has his daily regimen of medications, and then he does like heart checkups and all that like throughout the year, along with other specialties because he has so much going on. When they discuss like lifetime caps of being 1 million, it's like he wouldn't have made it past a month because he would have already hit his cap, and we would never been able to pay for what he needs. And then you deal with like Medicaid, like we couldn't choose to go to a different doctor. We had to go to that hospital that they chose because they said they could do it. And most people don't know that. Like you can't just go just because you have Medicaid to just wherever. And out of any hospitals here, he had to go to that hospital because they said they could do it. And it wasn't until their surgeon left and they said, oh, we can't do it, that we had a choice in the matter to say, okay, we want this top hospital.
Yeah.
And that for many families is the difference between life and death, because for kids like mine, like that's, you know, they have very rare and critical cases, complex cases, so they need extra care that sometimes some hospitals aren't giving, and they don't have a choice to even go to that. Even with Medicaid, it doesn't, you know, it sucks, but it's the truth.
I guess that was kind of my point, is like there's not like a standard of like getting well and better. Like it just seems to be that there's like this baseline of just enough to keep you alive, and that just seems to be across the board. And I mean, I don't know how many times you guys have seen it, but like I've seen it so many times where like even for myself, like when I had my knee arthroscopy, like, you know, I don't have a lot of money. Like we run our business, and we don't run it like a business. We run it like our passion. So like we're not, you know, doing great financially. You know, when I got done with my first one, like I'm a professional athlete in all senses of the word. Like I am a professional athlete. And they told me like, oh, just don't do anything for 7 days. And you know good and well that like if LeBron James had like a knee arthroscopy, like he would not get the same treatment that I'm getting. And so like that's, you know, when we start talking about those kinds of things, like that's an issue to me. Like not everybody is treated the same.
Yeah, I agree. And I'll also say, just as I'm not a medical provider, but like as a provider that treats patients with PPO insurance and Medicaid insurance and seeing all the different spectrums, I will say that I would say as a whole, a lot of people are not concerned with preventative care really at all. Like a lot of Americans in general, I know that like people that I talk to, like being athletes and stuff, you know, we're all about like what can we do to make our body work better and function better on a daily basis. But I'd say a lot of America is really not too concerned about their body as a whole. Or, I mean, people come to my office so often when they're just in pain. I'm just like, but they have insurance that covers 2 preventative visits a year. Most dental insurances cover a cleaning, a set of x-rays, 2 exams a year, but they don't do those. They don't do the preventative work. But then when something hurts, they come, and I feel like we treat doctors that way a lot of the times in the United States too, whether, like my health insurance that I get for my work, it covers our basically yearly exam, like 100%, no copay. It's what you get. It's your yearly exam and everything. And a lot of people don't even go to those. They just go when they're sick.
Well,
So, like,
I mean,
are we also part of the problem when we're only seeing doctors when something is hurting us?
well, that's what we're told to do, number one. And number two, like, how many people have work that you can say, hey, I need to take a preventative measure for my health. And your work will be like, sure, take off Monday half a day and we're going to pay you for it. Like, your work puts so much pressure on you to be at work.
It's like,
and work.
What do you value?
Well, what do you value is what is important.
What do we value as, because I've seen a lot of people who will take a day off to leave for the weekend early.
You values what is important.
What do we value as, because I've seen a lot of people who will take a day off to leave for the weekend early, for a weekend getaway or whatever. What do you value as an individual? What do we value as Americans? Because I'll tell you that these types of things are not at the top of the list.
No, I agree with that.
I think a lot of it is there's not been an emphasis of it, and that's why we're preconditioned into thinking that it's not an issue until something hurts.
Yeah, you go to the
doctor.
doctor.
That's how the medical staff does it. But then also, I think some people don't use those preventative ones or the early, because they're so afraid that something is going to be found. How am I going to pay for that afterwards? That's a huge part of it. I know in my experience, that's what it's been a lot of times, is that I worry what they're going to find and what I'm going to have to pay for afterwards. I'm not going to have the money to pay for that part,
Right.
Well, I mean, it's like a thing of like, you don't go to the doctor unless you're sick. Well, I don't think that we really see a change until like insurance companies recently started noticing that, like, hey, if we can get people to do preventative care, like, it actually makes it cheaper on us. And that's kind of the thing, right? Money makes the world go round. And until people who are trying to take your money basically realize that's when things like that start to change. So like, we have people now who come in who their insurance company will reimburse them if they're doing fitness classes, because they're
doing yoga, they're doing fitness.
Yeah. So, that's where I think change starts to happen, is like, we can actually save money if we can get these people healthier in the long run. Like, it's more cost effective for us to prevent heart disease than treat it after the fact. And so, like, when you can start to change that, then you can start to change people's perspective of what the doctor is. But doctors also have to change as well how they look at every patient as exactly the same, which was kind of my complaint, is like, when I had my knee arthroscopy, like, they treated me exactly the same as every other 80-year-old that's coming in there for knee pain. And it was based on, because my insurance, that's basically what they treated, was people with my kind of insurance. I didn't get to choose my doctor and all those things. Yeah. And so I actually kind of I did get to choose my physical therapist, which was fortunate. And like, I threw a fit on my first one. I'm like, no, this is old school. She had me like stretching and then doing like ballistic work. And, this is what I went to school for. Like, if I went for a few more years, I could be a physical therapist. I'm like, you're not doing this right. And she kind of got offended, but I changed to a different physical therapist who, like, they agreed with me that they were treating me like I was, 70 and ripped in a page out of a textbook. And I think that's how we treat people. And, there's no individualized care. It's all, treat and street. Treat and street. You're treated, get out. You're treated, get out. But, oh well, let's move on.
I mean, this is some good conversation actually today.
I don't like sounding like such a Republican. Tabitha, you mentioned that you weren't at the gym anymore. Is that because of what's happened? Have you left, or has your husband left too?
We had been discussing it for a little while, just needing a change. There's a lot of stuff going on that we just didn't feel fit with us.
Where are you at now?
we're not anywhere right now.
This is just rumor, but I heard that your husband kind of actually taught a lot and all that kind of stuff anyways. And was and like you taught the kids classes anyway. So like you guys were already kind of doing your own thing as it was. Do you think that you might join another gym, or do you think you'll venture out into like your own gym period? Or do you think that's even possible, knowing that this could have its ups and downs for the next?
Yeah. So my husband and a couple other main coaches there at the gym had this discussion. They've discussed this for a while about opening their own gym. But there's fear of, the unknowns with it, the overhead for it, and that it no longer becomes a hobby, your fun time, it becomes work. And so they feared that. And then now this has happened with the virus. And so I'm like, if you guys had started that gym like you planned this year, you would be done. Like it just, that's what it is. And I've been teaching kids class there for 3 years, maybe more. I lose track of time because I've been there so long. And my husband's been teaching as long as I have the adult class. His class has grown. Like, it used to just be an hour beginners. Now it's 2 hours, like, intermediate or so class. And he does that twice a week, and I teach twice a week. I wasn't getting to train that much because of my own chronic illness, but then also, like, I'm there all the time, but I'm not able to train much because I'm teaching or I'm working out and doing something else. So I've missed out on training, and I wanted to join his class, but by the time he's done teaching, they're just into rolling. They roll for an hour. He's been doing that for a while, and his class is up to like anywhere from 20 to 30 people every Tuesday.
Were they paying him for that? Sorry, this is probably invasive. Sorry.
No, we don't get paid. We get free membership.
That's not bad.
But I mean,
okay.
Our free membership, we don't get to use it much because we're coaching, which is fine because I love teaching. I love teaching the kids class. Kids especially. I love teaching kids over adults and stuff, especially just because.
You're a good one.
It's rough.
Those kids
and there's sometimes I'm like, no, not today. But I love teaching them because I get to hear like their stupid funny stories from like school that day or something, and just like the craziest. They come up with the craziest shit. It's like
my favorite is when they're like,
yeah,
hey, look.
Yeah.
I'm like,
or like you look over there and they just jump, and I'm like,
yeah,
that was awesome.
Wow.
But I love teaching them. We had been in discussion for a while about possibly changing gyms or doing something different, and I just didn't like how some of the things were going, and it just didn't fit with us anymore. We've grown as people, we've grown as teachers, and it just didn't fit with us. And I was looking into leaving this summer sometime. But now that mixed with kind of how things have went with the virus and stuff, I've just went ahead and resigned from my position there and stuff. So
are you still able to?
I will say.
Go ahead.
What'd you say?
I will say, as someone who used to be like affiliated with your gym, and I've trained there a lot. Like, you know me. I've been there a lot over the past 2 years.
Yeah.
I noticed a decline. I noticed change. I ended up leaving my gym that was affiliated with your gym. Kind of a similar, but I've noticed personally the kind of some things that have happened there.
Yeah. And you hate it because this has been my second family. It's always hard to make that decision. I know you've been in this position because you've left gyms you've been at for years. So, and these people are your family. You would understand too, Gina, in the gym you're at now, like that's your family. That's your, that's your people.
Yeah.
So it's very rough. It's very disheartening sometimes to think about it, but I know that it's best for me.
Yeah.
And I still send them love. Like, I've got so many people there that are still called family, and I will always call them family. And I know that they've still got my back no matter what. And I still mess with their affiliates and stuff. Like, many of them host my Roll for the Heart events and stuff. Like they openly host those, and I'm grateful for them, and I hope they still continue working with me on that, because that in itself, so it makes money for the organization I work with, but that's like my side part, it makes money for that, but that's like, I've had plans over the past few years to make it bigger. So I've been working on that for months now. That it's gonna be much bigger than what it is now, just localizing different gyms and stuff. It's gonna broaden out to other states and things. And eventually
That's
it's
awesome.
going to be, the money is going to go to our national organization to help with research funding. But I've been working on that for a while and trying to get things going with that, trying to get backers for that, because it costs so much to get it going. But
kind of like doing
national
like
organization is, what is it?
Have you ever seen the Tap Out Cancer tournament?
Yeah.
So kind of like what they do?
Yeah.
A little bit similar.
So turn like a competition. Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's super exciting. But yeah, when I left Area 502, I mean, when I got my blue belt there, I trained there for 3.5 years. So like, I feel your pain, and like a lot of those people that are there, they're still some of my best friends. But sometimes you have to just do what's best for you, no matter how, I've cried about it a few times because I miss some of the times and training, but you got to move on sometimes from things that are ultimately not good for you.
Even now it's hard. Like, even though we're home right now, like, it's still been rough. Like, that was our routine, being there at that gym, and even if I wasn't training, like, I had that socialization with my people, and I suffer from depression and generalized anxiety and stuff. So being home and not having something has been very rough. So when I say, like, stay home and, be safe and things, I'm not like, I'm suffering myself also, but I'm doing it for my son, and it's rough. Like, and my kids even ask, like, when are we going to go to the gym? Waylon asks all the time, when are we going to go to the gym? Or when are we going to go back to the gym? Because he loves it there. That's his second home. He runs the place there. So it's definitely an adjustment, and it's hard. It's very hard. And it's going to be really different when we do go to a different gym and start something else.
That's kind of what I'm not looking forward to, like, just kind of the adjustment of everything, because that's where we're kind of headed to with June 1st. Like, how are we going to basically lead these classes with
and if they do limit the amount of people that are in, because I have seen in some, for gyms and stuff, like 50%. How do you choose? Who do you choose? Like, are you on a waiting list and you do groups or something? Like, how are you going to do it to make it fair?
Our gym has posted, their owner, Jason, at Vision up here, has posted, we have a thing like Zen Planner or whatever. It's like an app that you can get. And like, so I don't know if you guys have ever done, I do hot yoga when I'm in fight camp, especially. There's a hot yoga place near me, and it'll say like, there's 25 spots open in this class. Because, hot yoga, you can't have too many people because you're just, whatever. So they max it out at 25 people. Well, it's open sign up, and the time to sign up is like an hour before the class. It's open for 60 minutes. You can go up and sign in and say you're coming. So once it hits 25 people, it hits 25 people. I think that's what we're going to be using, is like that kind of thing. But I think people are nice enough to know, like, okay, I went yesterday, I'm not going to sign in today. And then you can wait till, like, I live 10 minutes from the gym. A lot of people live super close, so they can look on there and be like, okay, there's 10 minutes till class. There's still 4 open spots. I can go, and I'm not taking from anyone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that's the route we're going.
I think we're going to work it more along the lines of, like, you can sign up for these classes, like, on these 2 days, and then the other people sign up for the other 2 days. That way we don't get it, like, at a full capacity, because, like, the Zen planners and those kinds of things, like, we've looked at that before in the past. Like, we may go that route, but it'll just depend on how many people are allowed in, If we're allowed to have 20 people in there, I think that we'll be okay for the most part, but we'll have to wait and see. I don't think that they're letting kids train in other states. Like, kids classes haven't been opened up, so I don't really know how that works. And I think that you're not allowed to have any spectators.
That's what I've read too, is many of them no spectators. I've read Ian's plan, on his phases of what he's got going through. And his first is kids. It's kids beginning, and then adults will be like phase 2. And I've read all of his plan. I think he's got a really good startup on how things should be. And
I
and
think
as
Ian's
someone
been great.
Huh?
I think Ian's been great.
Yeah.
He's done well, and he has a good plan. I'm interested to see how kind of it all goes. So we'll see. I don't know. Like, I think we're all going to struggle at first.
It's really going to be an adjustment in any way. It's not going to
Yeah.
be perfect from the beginning. You know, there's going to be adjustments that need to be made along the way when we see how it happens. So, but I think that his plan to begin with, I think, is really good. And I really agree with the way that he's running things and stuff. From a mom who has an immunocompromised child and having an immunocompromised system myself, I like the way that he's doing it. I think that he's got a good decisive plan. I think it would be a good one to kind of set up for most gyms and stuff. The choosing who gets to come in, I think that's going to be like some of the hardest part. And I think what you're saying, like, you know, group A, group B, I think that'll be one of the probably best ways, just so that way everybody fairly gets to train. And
Well, I think with the group A and group B too, because like Linda had talked about how her work does a group A and a group B. What if somebody in group A gets sick, but you've been intermingling? Now nobody can train. But if somebody in group A gets sick, group B, as long as we sanitize and everything, group B can still train.
Yeah.
You know, so that's the reason,
true. Yeah.
that's the reason that we're looking at doing it that way as well. Like before in the past, it's been difficult for us to get people to commit to certain days, but I definitely think that'll be necessary. Like, you know, these are your days you can work out either like Monday and Wednesday or Tuesday and Thursday. And then of course we'll have like our optional other day. But I do think it would be very necessary to, like, if you're going to do it and, you know, you're going to do it right, like you're in one group or the other so that it doesn't affect the other group if that were to happen. Like that's
no cross-contamination in it.
Yeah. We should have had Ian or his wife on. His wife, she just got her blue belt the other day. I noticed that.
Well, let's talk to him next time.
Saw that, yeah. I think it would be good to have him on. Yeah.
I
think his plan looks really good, and I've been keeping up if he's had any changes.
I want to talk to Ian. I think that would be cool.
Let's talk to him
Maybe
tomorrow.
we can have him on tomorrow. Yeah.
I mean, I don't have. I know it's Bluegrass Women's Jiu-Jitsu Club, but like, I'm not anti-man.
No, I'm not anti-man either, and I think sometimes a perspective from a guy would be cool.
Yeah,
so
for sure. Oh, here he comes. Get out of here, man.
What's up, Tick Boy?
I thought that said nipple.
Make America grapple again. You made that.
All I can think about is his tick incident now, and I'm just like,
I know. You had a tick on your taint. He needs a t-shirt now. I survived a tick on my taint.
Yeah, you need a t-shirt that says I survived the tick tank or the tank tick. You see the shirt he
That's
made me
so
from?
funny.
I did. And you've been talking about that for a while, so.
Oh, I'm so fucking old. I got done doing yoga today, sitting on my front porch, and I felt so good, and I sat down for a minute, and then I tried to get up, and I was like, fuck my back. Yeah, old, man. Old as shit. Oh, well.
God.
Well, guys, I think that's all we got to talk about. Danielle, let you reach out to Ian for tomorrow if you want to. And
cool.
Tabitha, thank you so much for coming on and talking with us. I think it was
definitely join us tomorrow if you want.
Yeah, it's a good conversation.
Yeah.
All right. See you guys.
All right.
Bye, ladies.
Meow.